Going live right now. Let's see.
Oh, that's cool. We can let you know. That's right.
Yep, streaming live right now. It's just so I have this like integration with Zoom as a plugin, and it lets you integrate it.
Huh.
Yeah. So. There we go. We're live. Let's just wait for people to join. Just give it a second. But yeah, I gotta ask you a lot of questions. I work for a school system too, so
That's cool. Yeah,
I'm gonna ask you a bunch of questions. I know what you mean with the school environment because I was a field tech. My first job was for the IT school environment. So
okay.
Yeah, I worked as a field technician. So let's just wait for everyone to join. Just give it a second. Just give it a minute. People are joining right now. I'm gonna put this over here. Put it on my Discord too. Just bear with me. Let's wait for people to join. Just bear with me.
All right.
For me people to join. I like to wait it out before we do anything. Yeah, I told you though, I had to get like my steps in. I like to walk a lot, so it's I have to get 10,000 steps a day. That's just how I am.
Yeah,
it's a Kevin thing, I guess.
You got the Apple Watch or something?
Yeah, I have a Galaxy smartwatch, so I like to walk before we do anything. It's just how I am. All right, hey guys, how you doing? It's Kevin here, bringing you a video on information technology. I hope you guys are having a good day, and I am here and honored to interview Christopher today. How you doing, Christopher?
I'm doing good. I'm glad to be here, man. I remember watching your videos a while back, and it's crazy to finally actually be here to talk about everything. So yeah, I'm glad to be here, man.
I'm gonna ask you that HR question. Tell me about yourself.
Okay, yeah.
How did you start in IT?
Yeah, so I'm Christopher Leveston. I am director of IT for a Catholic high school in Chicago, the South Side. So how I got started, I pretty much started out as a artist. So I did a lot of like graphic design work first, and I did graphic design for small businesses, individuals, artists, and I went ahead and took a web developer course at one of my community colleges, and there they did a lot of like we usually worked on Dreamweaver, but I found interest in it, being able to communicate my art with technology. So after that, I started learning about more about coding, JavaScript, all the different type of programming languages. This was back in, I believe, 2017 when I really started taking programming seriously. So I was watching different YouTube videos. YouTube is like a huge motivation for me. I always like to watch YouTube videos and tutorials. Don't want to get too stuck in them. But after learning about coding, I went ahead and contacted. There was a person from this company called W3 Develops, and they were pretty much like an intern. That's where I got into it. So I started learning all how different people code. It was all remote. It was like a startup, I guess you could say. And the best thing about it was learning the different ways people write code. And that got me even more interested. That's how I learned deeper into JavaScript, the programming languages I had HTML, CSS, JavaScript, all the different types of things that go into web development. So after that, after the intern, I had a break. And then that's when I wanted to actually go back to school, because before I was doing graphic design. So I finished my graphic design in 2018 of December. And then I wanted to go back to school, but this time in IT. I saw there was like an IT program there. And the first YouTube channels that I came across that got me interested in IT was your channel. And then it was Dewan Lightfoot, Network Chuck. And those three main channels kind of got me interested even more into it. So when I went ahead and went to my community college, I saw that, they had the IT programs. They had all like intro to computer literacy, and then they started going deeper into like the A+ courses, the Network Plus, and then they have the Cisco courses. So I went ahead, I said, let me go ahead and take it. I was able to get some financial help, so I was able to go ahead and take those courses. When I started there, I started out with the cabling. So it was all about cabling, being able to like cable network cables together. You putting them in, screwing them to the walls and all that. And that was actually pretty fun. I actually like that. And I kind of do that daily on a daily basis now at my job. So, and then that's when I got, once that semester was over, I got into the A+. And then we learned, there was an old guy, but he knew his stuff pretty well. We learned to go into the computers and all of that. And, down the line, on a semester, the next semester was like the Network Plus. And then that's when COVID kind of happened. And everyone started working remotely then. That was like the last semester I actually attended for, to the school. And, I was like, you know what, let me go ahead and try to finish what I started at the school, but on my own, try to learn as much as I can and try to get certified in some of these certs. So it's one thing going to school for, what you want to do, but you also, it's good to, get those certifications too as well. So what I did, I went ahead, took my study for the A+, created a lab. And on my Instagram, it has like, it's my work desk changes so many different times. So I went ahead and created a lab. We have like all the different basic A+ stuff. So taking apart computers, learning what, the CPU, the RAM, all of that, the motherboard, how a computer works. And then I went ahead and I scheduled my A+, the 1001, the first exam first. Went ahead, took it, and I passed it. I passed it the first time. It really is about hands-on experience. So after that, I told my Network Plus professor, he was like, he told me, let me know when, how the A+ exam goes for you. Because he would always ask us in class, hey, did you take your exam? Did you schedule your exam yet? Some students would say, no, I haven't yet. Or they'd be nervous and stuff. So he was surprised when I went ahead and actually scheduled it and took it. And he was like, okay, keep me updated for the next one. So I went ahead and I got into learning about Active Directory and all that through your channel. And then Job Skillshare, and being able to learn the different functions of AD. Windows Server 2016, went ahead and tried to learn more about that. How do I navigate through it? So after I did that, I started building more skills that way. It's all about a lab, and it's all about building your own lab. And then that also went in, I added all of that knowledge into the 1002 because that was more software based. So what I did was I set up labs for the software, the different software operating systems. I had a computer for Linux. I had, I had my old MacBook Pro. I had the Windows, the different Windows Server, and also had like the regular Windows 10 Pro. And I would go ahead and just lab it up, go through the CMD, the command prompt, and start doing different commands, how to clean drives, how to go to this part, how to do a lot of different things with Windows mostly. And I had a book. It was the A+ by Exam Cram, A+ 1001 and 1002 book. That was a really good book. So it was all about learning all of those skills, hands-on experience. Even though I didn't have a job at the time, gaining those lab experiences really helped when I did get the job, because all of that came right back to me. So it's one thing reading a book, but you also want to go ahead and try to, go into it, get your hands dirty. So that's what I did. And when I did that, when I felt comfortable, I went ahead and scheduled the second 1002 exam. And what I like to do, I like to schedule the exams first. It's going to sound crazy, but I like to schedule the exams first and then do the studying. I know some people, like there's been times where I thought, man, should I do this first? But I noticed when I do schedule the exams first, it makes me get up every morning and just start studying because I know I have like a time frame of when the exam is due. So it kind of pushes me just an extra bit more. So when I went ahead and took the 1002 exam, and I passed it. I thought I actually failed it because it did feel like, oh man, did I really pass this? It's like, but I actually did. I passed it, and I went ahead and my network plus professor told me, hey, make sure you let me know. So I went ahead and emailed him saying, hey, look, I passed it. I'm A+ certified. Like, I can't believe it. Like, and then he was like, cool. And then he sent me another email and he said, I may have a job opportunity for you. I was like, oh, it's like what? I was like, man, like what? So the lesson, right? The first lesson here is to always network. So networking with other people, being able to, because when I was going to school for the IT program, my goal really was to try to network with as many IT professors that was in there. Anyone that was in the IT department, try to network with them. The degree wasn't really on my mind because I still don't have it, but I had the certs. But it's all about networking. So I went ahead to try to talk to them, as much as possible, try to figure out, hey, what's this or what's that, or stay a little bit later from the classes so I can figure out and try to understand things. So when he said that, I was like, man, I was kind of nervous. I was like, yeah, this gonna be my first position. Like, how it's gonna be. So he let's see, after that I waited for a while, and I believe this when I joined your Discord, and we was talking back and forth, and I was getting kind of mad because I was like, man, they didn't call me back yet. Well, like, I'm not sure if you maybe remember it, but there was a time.
I told you to have patience, man. You gotta wait it out. I told you. I remember.
Yeah. Yeah. It was crazy, man. So I went ahead and waited a little bit more, and then I got a little bit more frustrated. So what I did was I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and start applying to a bunch of web developer jobs, because I was still doing web development at the time. So I was doing the IT stuff, but I was get kind of discouraged. You get discouraged when you don't get hear from employers. That is a real thing. So I just want to tell you guys that it's real tough when you don't get a call back. But like what Kev said, you just got to be real patient. So I went ahead and started applying to like as many web developer jobs as possible, like as many as possible. It was like over like 50 different jobs or more. I had a whole list. And I didn't hear from anyone there. I didn't hear from anyone at the web developer. I had a portfolio, everything. I waited a little bit longer, and surprisingly enough, I had 2 calls one morning. One was from a school, and that was the school that I work at now, the Catholic school. And one was from a company called OfferSite, which was a web developer agency. A recruiter called me. So I had 2 calls that morning, and I had to make a decision. Now, I was doing web development prior to doing the studying for all the IT stuff. So I was like, what should I do? Should I go with the web developer? Because I do have more experience in that. I did an intern for a company in web development, but the school seems like a cool thing because my professor, he's helping me try to get in there. So I went ahead and went for a what do they call it? Like a little walk around the school. So it was downtown. It was in the city in Chicago, not too far from where I live. And my professor, he called me to tell me, to let me know where it was at and everything. And he's told me, we're just gonna do a walk around the school. We're just gonna see how it is and see if you're gonna take the position or not. So I went ahead and went to the school, and he walked me around, him and the principal, and he walked me into the AV room. After we did all walk around all the classes, the different parts of the school, we went to the AV room, and that's where the MDF was, and everything in that room. It was nothing but carts of computers and old computers that didn't work. He said, look, man, all of this stuff in here doesn't work. The reason why he wanted me there was because he didn't have enough time to spend there. He worked 3 other jobs in ITs, and he mostly worked in education. So he wanted me to take over for him there as a full-time IT person, so that I can bring that school up to par with the tech. That way, I can handle that school, and then he can go somewhere else. When he told me that nothing worked in there, he showed me the servers. So there was a server. There was actually 3 different Active Directory servers running, 3 different Windows servers. You had 2 2003s, and there was another one. I was like, man, what is going on? So he showed me what was the case, what was the deal with that. So what they did was they virtualized 2 of the 2003 servers onto the actual other server. It's pretty weird. So you have this physical server here that's the one, I have running now. But there were 2 other servers, physical servers that was in the MDF that didn't work anymore. So I guess what they did was they virtualized the software in them and then put them on a Hyper-V on the actual one. But when he showed me, he was like, look, I don't know how this worked, but like they have 3 different servers running. And I had to figure out, oh man, like this people's stuff still on it too from like years ago. So I'm like, he just showed me that. I didn't, we didn't touch anything during the whole walk around. He just showed me everything first. And then he showed me like the computers in there. We had like iMacs that were sitting there with no hard drives in them. We had there was trash all the way to the wall of the AV room, which I actually do like trash because I could take stuff from it. I could salvage stuff from it, which I did. So yeah, he showed me the whole room and everything. And he said, if you can, figure out and move stuff around, the best you can, make the room look however you want it. He said, just be you, man. Just go ahead and do what you got to do. And I'm going to come back, we could always touch bases every week or so. So we went ahead and I went ahead and I said, you know what, let's do it. Let's go ahead. And the reason why I went ahead for the school is because I saw more opportunity in it. I saw the freedom that was in that position. The web development position, it was pretty far away. It was like an hour-long drive. So, but it was cool though, because I do like web development too as well. But something about the vast, the huge area IT, you have all different types. You have web development, you have, cloud computing, you have technician, you have all of that. What I saw in the school is like I saw everything of that in that one school. So I can be the technician, I could be the network administrator, I can be the if I want to make the school, turn the school, have some cloud concepts there, I can do that. I'll pretty much be the director because I'm be the only one there. So I'm going to be anything that has to do with tech, it's going to go right on me. I have to figure out, okay, how can I help the teachers out? And that's another thing too, is helping the teachers out because the equipment they were using were old equipment. It was, they were bringing in their own laptops there too. But there were some teachers that were stuck on the old Dell computers from like 2009, 8. So it was like, we called them dinosaur computers. Everyone called them dinosaur computers because they were real clunky. So it was like, man, it's like, and then the students too there. I just imagine like the computers that were in the labs were just way too slow. So, I went ahead and agreed to take the position. He said, are you ready? Are you up for it? I said, yeah, let's do it. So, I just said, yeah, I didn't even think. I was like, yeah, let's go ahead and let's do it. So, that's another thing you want to consider too, man. Take opportunities. I saw a lot of different roles I can take in that school position. So I went ahead and took that position. Waited, got a call back, and then that's when I went ahead and started. It was in October of last year. Started right in the AV room, and there were like carts, the carts from earlier He had all the different computers. He had Lenovo's, he had, the iMacs, he had Dell's and that old equipment. So I went ahead and started working on them, checked every single device, made sure I keep track of everything so I won't forget and be like, oh, did I check this? So I went ahead and checked every single laptop and desktop, I could find in there. Some worked, some were just too old to even put, a newer operating system on. So a lot of the computers were running like Windows Vista 7. And and I didn't really find any. There were about 2 computers that was running Windows 10.
Jesus, Windows Vista.
Yeah, Vista. I actually have all the tags too. So the computer where they have the operating system. I took them off, some of them, and just sat them on my desk to keep track of all the different operating systems I found there. And some teachers actually sent me their computers that they kept from years back that the school gave them that had Windows XP on it, which I can't do anything with those. So what I did, and this goes into my A+ knowledge, because it's all about the technician part, being able to troubleshoot computers, being able to take them apart, being able to go into operating systems, cleaning drives. All of that A+ knowledge that I had went straight to that part of the job. So that's why I was like, man, if I took, me taking this position actually solidified my knowledge in A+. So I was like, yeah, let me go ahead and I really want to do this. I can actually put all of this stuff that I learned into practice. And so I went ahead and took apart computers, checked them. Some didn't start, some had operating system issues, and a lot of the issues with those computers were operating system based. So you would have like Windows 7 that will have issues, startup, like boot up issues and all. So my goal was to just wipe as many of those computers out. I would check them first and then wipe as many of them out and then put Windows 10 on them. See which ones can work. Some had only like 2 gigs of RAM. So in 32-bit operating systems. So I try to put 10 on as much as I could, the 32-bit Windows 10, because I couldn't do 64-bit. So I went ahead and tried to do Windows 10 on as many as I can find without them being super sluggish. And I was surprised that some of them still ran 10 pretty well, the 32-bit version. So I was like, good, let me go ahead and let me try to establish a underlayer of working technology so that at least the school would have something to work with if we had to go to a last resort type of deal, because before nothing was working. So I went ahead and wiped as many of the computers out as I can. Now, this school also would take donations. So they would get donations from other computers from other schools. And when I would go and check them, they still had the login information from the other IT departments or the other login information from different parts of the school, and I couldn't get into them. So, like I said, my teacher will always come back every weekend. We'll touch bases, and he showed me this program called Hiring. It's
the Hiring Boot CD, right?
Yeah.
I use that a lot in my job.
Yeah. So I went ahead and used that a lot to go in. And since it was able to go to it was able to break into like XP and 7, I was able to like go into them and like find the passwords or like try to reset the passwords and then go in and then see, okay, is there any important information that I need? Or, if stuff I don't need, okay, I'll go ahead and wipe them clean, fresh start of Windows 10 on them, and then have it ready for, the staff or for the labs. Now, I tried my whole mission at that point. This was all part of phase 1 of my technology plan. It's all trying to bring the school back, trying to revive as many of the tech as I can. So it was all in the AV room at the time. I went to the trash, grabbed trash out of there, grabbed the CPUs that were still in some of the trash that weren't being used. I replaced some of the processors that were in the trash into the computers that worked. RAM, I went ahead and searched for RAM, found some RAM in the trash, brought it, had a huge stack of them. So organizing the room and making it look clean and nice. And at the same time as I was doing that, I was also doing help desk situations. So the way the help desk was coming at the time, it was through email. So, I had my own like IT support email, I guess you could say. And all the teachers, they knew my email. So if they had an issue, they would just immediately email me and I would get them. And I would check my phone, get them and say, okay, let me go ahead and figure out how to do this. Now, mind you, this is my first position. Like, this was the first experience of me having this real life experience. Like, I laughed, but like having this is like nothing compared to just the lab. Like, labbing is cool. Like, that's good. But the real world situation, that's when it catches you off guard. You'd be like, oh man, I can't print. Or someone says, I can't, my computer won't connect to the internet. Now, having that A+ and labbing with the operating system actually did help. That came back to me. But you would have like there'll be like for example, printer jams, laser printer issues that weren't really talked about that much in A+. And well, in my A+ book. So I had to really go in there, and I was like go on Google or YouTube, and then I'll figure it out. And then that's how I was able to like figure out, okay, there was a laser printer in the teachers lounge. They have like this lounge area, and a lot of teachers say I can't print, and then it was print, but it would print like a bunch of like blank pages. So what came to mind was actually, I remember that I had an experience like that with my printer. It had something to do with driver issues. So that's when I went ahead and said, let me see. But I was left with no information of the printer. So what I had to do was take the identification of the printer, the model number, then go to like Canon's website and then figure out, oh, okay, so it's this printer right here. Scroll down, find the correct driver for it, download it, and then having to put that onto, some of the teachers' computers, because they were using like I don't know what was wrong. It was this driver. It was like a weird driver. I guess it's like one of those things where you would just connect to the wireless printer, but don't install like the correct driver, and then it would have issues. But I went ahead and tried to download the actual driver from the website. Yeah. So,
yeah, that makes no. I was gonna say, me and my printer issues too, man. It's always a driver. So if you print if it prints like gibberish, usually that's a driver issue. I learned that from I actually learned that from an HP certified technician in my other job. Yeah. I was working with a HP tech, and he is our technician support for all our printers in the company in my previous job. And he came and he's like, a lady would print, and then it would come out like hieroglyphics, like Egyptian lettering or something like, I don't know what the hell was that.
I was looking like, what the?
So I spoke with him, and he's like, yeah, that's a driver issue. So you have to you have to put the PCL 6.0 PCL HP driver, universal driver, and you won't have that issue. So then I did that, and I pushed that out on the server, because we have like a print server, and then we didn't have that issue anymore after that. So that I know what you're talking about. So.
Yeah, man, it was weird. It was weird because it was like printing like stacks of blank paper. It's like, man, all this paper is being wasted. So the reason I went into the printer, because as I'm repairing the computers in the AV room, I'm at the same time getting those help desk situations, those help desk calls, So I'll be like, oh, printer jam, or oh, my computer is acting up, or I can't connect to the internet, or wireless is acting up. What's going on with the wireless? My phone won't connect. It's all of that stuff is going on at the same time you're repairing the computers, because I'm the only guy there, the only IT person there. So
how do you feel now, like coming since last year, and actually being now in the school since you, I guess you set up most of it, because I it's gonna sound weird, but I follow your YouTube channels. I know you have a YouTube channel where you actually show people what you do on a typical day of a school system. Okay. So I seen your videos on YouTube. Man. So I was just wondering, like, how do you feel? Like, I know your stress level was extremely high when you first started being in that school, but now that it's been a couple of months, right? So this is like last year, right? So how do you feel now? Like, is there infrastructure is a lot better now? Because since you're in charge of all that, is it like more stable now? There's nothing breaking down or falling apart?
So it's really it's more stable than it was when I first started there, because really technically there wasn't someone there all the time before I started there. So when stuff would break down, you know, it was gone. Like it was down, like until someone was actually there full time to actually fix it. But it was down, like stuff was down there that been down for years. So yeah, it's everything has been better since I started there and been working on things. Especially the network issues. That was probably what gave me stress the most. Was figuring out first the topology of the network. Because after I finished the AV room, fixed all the computers in there, I went into one of the computer labs. They call it the old lab. That's what my professor called it. He called it the old lab. Shout out to him, because he gave me the opportunity to even, you know, do this.
You got some shout outs over here from Phil, the IT Jedi. He said, "Yo, Chris, yo, it's your boy from Philly.
Hey,
LinkedIn, you killing there, broski."
Hey, thanks,
and
man.
You have a couple people here. I've been watching you redo the IT office. So much work, so much progress too, Jacob.
Thanks, man. Thanks, Jake.
This techno chatter, salute to you guys. Caesar says sounds like a future DevOps tech since you're all over the place. People said hello. Man. Everyone said cool. Hello. Everybody. Someone said we need a printer. We need a printer certification. Someone asked about, is there any off-duty calls in your school environment? Like, are you on call? Like,
yeah. So if I'm so I have a ubiquity system, right? Set up in the school. So I would get alerts like if the network goes down. So if for some reason the network acts up and it went down, I would want to drive up there to figure out, okay, why it's going down. Luckily, I don't live that far away from the school, so it's only like a 15-minute, 20-minute drive to get there. So when stuff like that would happen, for as far like network issues go, I go ahead and drive immediately up there, figure out what's going on, and once I figure it out, you know, job done. Now for teachers, there are days where some of the staff will be there, and there would be like days like there would be breaks. For example, like there was a break I had where the staff was there, but the principal was like, "Nah, stay home. No, you work too much to stay home." So like sometimes the front desk will have issues where they can't print, and it's always a network thing going on.
It's always a network thing. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and or like the front desk lady would like to move her. Like it was a one day where she wanted to move her computer, her whole setup around just to make it easier for her to navigate with you know, her whole desk. So I like, you know, yeah, I go ahead and you know, they send me a text or email. I'll go ahead and go to the school and help out with that. They also have IDFs. There was a situation where in the main office there's an IDF there, like, you know, like an old switch, and then that's what connect the network in that room, and then it spans all the way to the hallway of the school to more access points and whatnot. There was an issue where there was a power outage at one time, and what that switch does is it keeps errors when there's like an hour outage. So when it's keeping that error in the system, it like ruins that network there. So like computers couldn't communicate with certain devices in that room, which I was like, okay, if I can ping to this room and I can ping here, but I can't ping to this room. And if I try to ping from this computer in the main office, but can't ping out somewhere else, okay, it has to be something to do with this switch. So, you know, the OSI model, you know, started at the physical layer.
You see how like a level 1 thing, like you learned that in A+, like ping, right?
Yep.
People say that's not really used. We use it a lot in IT if you're doing IT support. So especially it's just like
when it's network troubleshooting, like especially that. So I went ahead and unplugged the switch, waited 5 seconds, plugged it back in. Now I did other things too. I unplugged the network cable from the printer and then plugged it back in, and that didn't work. So what I did was unplug the switch, you know, and plugged it back in. There was, you know, during that time that when that happened, I called my professor, my network plus, because, you know, he was the guy that worked there before, so he still knows some things at that time. I called him and he was like, okay, I'll be right there. So that's what we went ahead and, you know, he looked at everything, and that's when he told me this switch keeps errors for some reason. Like if there's a power outage, it acts weird. It's like I don't know if it's like a glitch or something. So
Mm-hmm.
my job, right, when I get new network equipment in, it's just replacing those and
Got
making them
it.
better switches. So that won't ever happen again. And then I also want to put like a UPS in it, so in case anything, power outages or anything does happen, you know, it won't damage the system. Because right now they're just plugged to a surge protector, but it's like, nah,
Yeah, no, it's not. You never know.
that's not gonna fly. Like they need to put
Yeah.
UPS in there. So yeah, it's, you know, it's all about working around with a budget too, because you know, especially private schools, like certain private schools, you know, in these neighborhoods have it, you know, it's real tough to get funding, you know, from
Yeah.
corporations or organizations.
School is
So it's all
kind
about
of
grants.
difficult.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very
So
difficult in the schools. I worked in the school system. I know what you're talking
yeah.
about. I see
Yeah.
Jamie. I forgot to mention Jamie. He said Chicago in the house, as he said
Yeah.
Chicago in the house,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
said and then Deep Dish speaks. You know, in Chicago, and then never mind. So yeah, someone said you really seem real passionate about IT. Do you have any career goals and ambitions? How do you like to achieve this in this? Like, how do you like to achieve them? How do you like to achieve you have careers and goals? He likes to achieve this decade. Like, what do you I guess before we even get into answering those questions, like, so you got into, we're gonna roll back a little bit, right?
Okay, yeah.
So you got into, you did networking. You says all about knowing who are the people around you, connecting as many people as you want.
Yep.
You got into the job for the school, and that's really cool, man. I'm happy for you. And then
thanks, man.
and you got the A+ too, and then you have all these other things, and then you just got the job. And, you know, taking from this conversation that we had today, because a lot of people watch these videos sometimes, right? The thing is that you have to have patience with yourself.
Exactly.
And don't give up. And no matter what, like, apply everywhere and see who gives you a chance.
Exactly.
And have patience, have a lot of patience. It took you a really long time until that school got back to you.
It did,
but
man.
But now you're here.
Exactly.
Now you're here. You have the job.
Exactly.
So that's how it is. That's how it is with life.
And that's how it is. Yeah. You will feel to the point of almost wanting to give up. And right when you feel like giving up, that's when stuff start happening. So as you know, now, you know, I always say, man, don't give up. Just keep going. Just keep pushing. You know, if someone don't call you back, you know, just keep moving. You know, just keep moving, but don't give up the whole entire process. You know, you gotta respect the process. You know, that's the saying that goes, respect the process. So just keep going, man. Just like, and that's how, you know, from that experience alone, that's how I learned. Just keep going, man. You know, impatience is
we spoke about this. I told you.
Yeah.
I told you. We spoke. You and me spoke about it. Like, you gotta have patience.
Like, just be patient, man.
Be patient, man. You gotta have patience. It let trust the system. Let it happen. It's gonna happen. So I was gonna ask you. I seen you study, because I watch people. I do my homework before I interview somebody. So I see you study AWS.
Yeah.
I'm watching you, AWS. So tell me more about that. Tell me about. So are you studying cloud certifications right now, or?
Yes, I am. So I'm currently studying the AWS. I have it scheduled for next month on the 15th. So I've been studying it. You know, I remember I said I like to schedule the exams.
Yeah.
So I got that time set. So right now I've just been studying and playing around and labbing with AWS as much as possible. The cloud computing, you know, area really does interest me a lot. It's cool that you can create a virtual machine, or you can just store stuff or create a database like completely somewhere else on the globe, or, you know, in the region, and being able to retrieve that data back here. It's cool to be able to see businesses like, especially startups, because the harder thing about being a startup is getting the actual money to get all that equipment, you know, buying all of these servers and everything. But with a startup, you know, if you're a startup and you're trying to get in the cloud, it's less expensive. You know, you're paying for operational expenses, not capital expenses, which is you're paying for all the stuff up front. With operational expense, you're only paying for what you're using. So it's really cool to be able to see this play out, and being able to see, like, now Microsoft was getting into it with Azure. I took the Azure fundamentals exam too, and that was cool. That's what helped me learn about actually Azure fundamentals. I believe that's a good cert to get first in cloud, because it's easier. I guess it's just easier it was easier for me to understand. AWS has like this naming convention like EC2, or S3 and all that.
Yeah,
Like,
you have to run instances, and then you have to put a code in, and then you can run the RDP. And
with Azure, their naming is just like you see virtual machine. They say, oh, okay, I know exactly what that is. EC2 is the same as virtual machine. It's just different name.
Different name. Yeah, that makes sense.
So what is cool about getting those certs is if you get one of them, you can easily understand the other one. It's just the platform is different.
Yeah, so like they overlap each other.
Exactly.
You get one or the other, or learn both if you could expect, if you have money to do it. And well, someone was asking, like, what are your goals for this year? Like, what are your plans, or what are you trying to do? Like, are you gonna are you trying to, because the thing is that you're in a good place right now, because you're in a school environment and you're touching a little bit of everything. So then you're gonna be like Chuck Norris, just kicking the competition, because you have all this experience in your belt. So like, what are your goals for this year? Like, besides the certifications, are you trying to like be an IT director, or are you trying to get into management?
So I'm really trying to put together good documentation for the school. The main goal for the school is to train the students there. All the IT stuff that I do there, I want to be able to teach them and train them all the different roles that I do. So the technician role, the network administration role, all the different roles, the help desk, all of those roles. I want all the students, the students that to learn that. So then that way they can have that knowledge, and in case something was to happen to me, the school can still survive. So it's being able to just teaching them the different parts of technology. I'm also putting together, like in this room, I'm putting together like a networking room so that all the students can learn about networking, PC troubleshooting, all of that. So that's my main goal this year, is to try to teach kids that really want to get into tech but don't have the equipment at home to do it, but they can go to the school and have working equipment there. So being able to have them learn all of this stuff, and then they can come out and it's pretty much like the A+ course, pretty much. I'll just put it just like that.
No, that's good, man. Education is very important in our like in society. Just educating other people in IT is very important, especially when you have the next generation coming in, right? You want them to be more prepared and more skilled and able to understand everything. That's really good, man. I like the fact that you're doing it. That's good.
Thank you, man.
That's good.
And I'm working hard trying to put the document. I'm working hard trying to put the documentation together. So this is the
book
documentation. This has everything: the technology plan, the bills, the receipts, all the future plans that I want to do, network diagrams, all of that. So I want to put all that together, so when I start teaching the students, they can have something to look back on. See, I didn't have that when I started there. So, but my teacher was there to catch bases with me when he could. But when stuff will go down, I didn't have that. So I want to try to give back, try to restructure everything and make it more orderly, so that the next person that comes in after me can just look at it and be like, oh, okay, so this is how the network is made. So this is how it looks. So I could go ahead and plug this and think, oh, okay. See, I was just trial and error. There were things where I would unplug things and take the internet out, and I didn't know. And then they'd be like, hey, I can't get on Zoom. And I'd be like, oh, let me plug this back in. So it's, stuff like that. So that's my main goal for this year is to get the students to learn a lot of this stuff. I think it would really help them, especially coming out of high school too.
So coming out of high school is hard right now, because like people don't have the right guidance. They don't know where to start either. Like that's the thing. So someone was asking, can you ask Christopher if they're using BDI in their computer labs?
No, not that I know of. No. There's a lot of things that may be in other jobs, IT jobs, that are available. Like, for example, the Windows deployment, there is none of that. So the server that was in there is no way to deploy software out to all the computers. When I started there, the server there didn't have that functionality. So I want to also make that a functionality on it, so that way when computers come in, I can go ahead and don't have to do every individual one. So like that's type of stuff in the labs, no, there's really nothing. I'm really starting from the bottom. so I'm trying to build up, try to put more things that should be there, IT stuff that should be there. I'm trying to put that into the school, trying to make my job easier. So yeah, it's stuff like that. No, it hasn't been implemented in the school yet. Now I know the old servers used to have that functionality, but they're all like broken, so I had to take them out. One thing though, there's a guy, not sure if you can see this, Abdul, that was his name. This is from 2007. I found this when I was cleaning the room. Mm-hmm. This is the guy. I talked to a lot of people in there. He said there's people that have been in the school, that have been working in school for like over 20 years. And they mentioned his name too. I asked, I'll investigate to figure out, okay, who were the tech people before, even my professor. And they mentioned his name, and they always said he was a really good guy. Like, he was really good at what he did. And I could see, because that's his documentation right there. When I found that made my job like 10 times easier. So yeah, documentation is very key when it comes to IT, especially working in school, because this documentation is from 2007, but it still gives you a complete history of what he's done, the cost of everything that he did when he first started the job in 2007 and was working on the network. I found the 2 old servers when he first installed them in there. They were working fine. I wish he kept information on how he deployed the stuff, the software onto computers. I know there's some stuff on that somewhere, but yeah. Sorry, I kind of drifted off.
No, you didn't drift at all. I was just wondering. Yeah. Documentation is very important. People don't know, that, because like when you work in, if you're a manager, like they praise you for the documentation. Yeah. They love the documentation. I was gonna ask you like a random. This is like a common question I ask anyone. Okay. Like when I bring someone to interview, I ask them the same question. If you had to go back in time, what would be your advice for someone that's brand new to IT on how to get started in IT?
Oh, if I had to go back in time, I'll say just keep, don't give up. I would say grind, study hard, but don't work too hard. I don't want anyone to go to mental breakdowns. So just try to work as much as you can, but not to the point where you would go crazy. Because there are times where you be like, oh man, I want to keep studying, I want to keep doing this, I want to keep and stay up long nights. But that all comes back to you. So it's all about taking care of mostly your sleep. You're a human being. Like, you have to go to sleep at certain times of the day. Me, I was, me, I told you once before, I was a coffee addict. So I would drink coffee like nonstop, stay up late nights and just be studying. Now that did help with the web development stuff, because I knew a lot from it, but you will crash real hard and get really tired and burnt out. Now that when you get burnt out, that's one thing you really don't want to do, because that's a flag that lets you know.
We just spoke about that too before this meeting. We spoke about that burnout. We spoke about that.
Yep. So don't get burnt out. So if I was to go back in time, I'd tell you, don't give up, but don't work yourself to the point where you get burnt out too many times. Take rest, because rest is very important with retaining that information that you learn. So yeah, that's what I would do. That.
And what's your advice for someone brand new? Like pretend I'm a student from school.
Okay.
And I know nothing about IT. What advice would you give me?
Okay.
Yeah. Someone that's brand new, like they're watching right now. Like people are watching right now. So okay. What would you tell them how to get started in IT? What's your advice?
Yeah.
Since you have experience now, coming from absolutely nothing and then coming into IT. So what would be your advice?
Yeah. So my advice was to be grab whatever computer you have laying around that isn't being used anymore. If you have a computer, it doesn't matter if it has Windows XP on it. Just grab something and learn about the different parts of the computer, especially if you're trying to do the A+. That's the first step that I took. So I advise everyone to take the A+. I know sometimes A+ gets a rep for, do I really need it? It was very important, fundamental in my position there, because you don't want to go into a job and don't know how to troubleshoot things, because you will get that. You will get those troubleshooting situations. So yeah, just grab a computer, learn the different parts, study all the objectives for A+, learn about the different operating systems, try to immerse yourself into the different fields of IT too. So let's say you get an A+, what the A+ does is introduces you to all the different fields. In A+, they talk about cloud, they talk about network. That's actually the next thing. That's like the second thing they talk about in A+ is network. They talk about all the different parts. So try to find something that you're very interested in. Keep a journal too, because that's what I have. I have a journal. Keep a journal of all the things that you want to do and how you want to achieve it. And then work backwards. How can you get to that position? How can you get to that part in your career? So that's what I do. I always write in my journal what I want to accomplish. That's the main thing. And then do it step by step by step, and then work up to try to get there. That's how I got my A+. There was a time in my journal where I wrote down, "Ooh, I want to get the A+. I want to be able to, all this different stuff. I want to get the network plus." How can I get there? That's the question you want to ask yourself. Well, how I have to learn this, or I have to learn this, or, I got to create labs. Labs are very important. So if you don't have a computer laying around, there are thrift stores there was a thrift store I went to a while back that actually had like different types of computers in there. They got printers, old printers, and just trying to, just play around with it. A lot of times, what I used to do is just read books and don't really immerse myself in it, but you really want to lab and immerse yourself in it, because that actually that glues and sticks to your head the more you lab. So someone who's just getting into IT, figure out where you would like to go in IT, the different domains of IT. Are you interested in cloud? Are you interested in networking? Are you interested in security? Technician? Think about where you see yourself fit. Are you more of a web developer? Because web development is cool. That's how I started looking into IT, was through web development. Are you more of a coder? I'm a coder guy. I like being able to solve problems, through just text like that. It's like putting together puzzles and being able to try to solve these problems. So, it's all about asking and knowing who you are, and then trying to fit yourself of who you are into the tech industry. Find out. That's the easy way to find out what you're more interested in. And once you find your interest, then you can work to try to get there.
Do you recommend a mentor or a LinkedIn account, or connecting with people and all that other stuff, and the resume and all that good stuff?
Yes. So the number one thing I did first was make a resume. Now at the time I didn't have any IT experience on there, but I did have a web development experience on my resume. So yeah, you wanna create a resume. You also want a mentor too. It's crazy because it was hard for me to find one before lockdown, but I had multiple. So like a guy named Greg Skeen, really good guy. He helped me optimize my resume.
I heard him. I heard of him. I love that guy.
Shout out to him.
Shout out to Greg.
Yeah.
I know who he is.
Yeah. He's helped me optimize my resume at the time when I was applying to all those different web developer jobs. My professor, my Network Plus professor, he was there. He got me in the door, but he was there to assist me when he could every other week.
Shout out your professor too, then. Yep. Shout out your professor.
Yeah, so it's all about, and just the community as a whole, the LinkedIn community, the YouTube community, it's being able to, with the YouTube, you can watch videos and then going on people's Discords, asking questions on there. If you need to hit somebody up on LinkedIn, don't be afraid to do it. Just ask them a question. I know I get people that come into my LinkedIn DMs. I'm happy enough to add, help them out the best I can. There are questions that they ask me I don't know. So like there'll be like acronyms and the Helpdesk environment that I don't know. I don't know what that is, but I'll look it up after they then mention it, and I'll be like, oh, so that's what that is. And then how I am, I like to delve deeper into things. I like to be like, ooh, okay, let me go ahead, and then I get so deep into stuff. So, yeah, mentor, LinkedIn, what I want to do with the students is have them each create their own LinkedIn accounts. So like when they go ahead and start learning, they each will have their own LinkedIn accounts from the beginning. And I want them to document everything that they're doing, just like how I'm doing, because documentation really does help. Not for like the documentation, I mean, as far as like IT work, like networking and all that, not this, but documenting the process of how you do things. YouTube channels, if you want to create a YouTube channel. I was nervous on creating YouTube channels, a YouTube channel for my IT stuff, but I was like, you know what, let me just go ahead and do it. Now I used to do it on my Instagram. You know, I'll always create little clips and post that on Instagram. But then I was like, you know what, I'm doing all of this work at this school. Let me document all of this stuff and create a vlog and just post all that stuff on YouTube. That way recruiters can see that, but also people who are interested and want to know you more as a person will also see that. You know, and that really does help. So yeah, LinkedIn, resume, you know, labbing, and mentors. Those are the 4 things I really that really helped me.
And I tell people you need to be uncomfortable to get comfortable.
Exactly.
You need to get out of your comfort zone.
And this was a very uncomfortable position. There was a lot of things that just happened just out of the blue. But throughout that process, you learn a lot. Now I could have took the web developer position, you know, being at my first position, you know, our long drive, but I like to look at what can I get out of a position. I feel like I could have got more, you know, I got more out of the school, going to the school, because there's so many different hats I can wear and so much experience, because I was already learning A+, and then going and try to learn a Network Plus and all that. I figured, you know what? I'm watching all Kevtech's videos. I'm watching all Dwan Light's videos. I'm like, let me go ahead and actually put this to use. Let me start you know, putting all this practice to use. So I went ahead and went to the school, and then it actually became fun, because like, man, I'm like, I have full control over what needs to be done as far as IT, the tech stuff go. Like, I'm controlling the ship. I don't want to crash it, so, but I want to, but I try to learn. It's a huge learning process. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure it was mind-boggling.
Yeah.
When you first started, and someone actually asked what certifications do you recommend? Before you answer that question, shout out to Professor Black Ops. I don't know if you know him.
Oh yeah,
I don't know if you subscribe to him.
Yeah,
he has a very good. He's a professor. He's been in IT for over 30 years.
Wow. Okay.
Professor Black Ops. I have to get him on my channel to talk. Shout out to Professor Black Ops. But what do you recommend, Kevin? So there's another Kevin. What do you recommend for certifications if you're brand new to IT? I guess. What are your recommendations for certs?
For certs, well, if you're just starting out, I will always start with the A+. You know that people say that's the usual thing, but what works great with the A+ is also connecting with people. So, you know, you can have as many certs as possible. You can have like 50 certs, but if you're not connecting with people, it kind of makes it hard to get into the industry. So always advise, if you're studying for certs, also get some connections as well. So I'll do the A+. And then after I did my A+, I did go with the Microsoft Azure. The reason why I went with Azure was because they were doing like this program, and it was free. It was like this free thing. So if you attended the program, you know, they would give you a free voucher. So I went ahead and did that. And also because cloud is like becoming this huge thing, I believe having an A+ and then having that beginning cloud experience really looks good on your resume, but it also gives you a great understanding of what cloud computing really is, because I believe once I start moving, you know, as the years go by, a lot of more stuff is going to be cloud-based. So I wanted to try to get the cloud experience in as early as possible. So yeah, A+, and then for me, I did the Microsoft Azure, and then I went with the Network Plus. Understanding networking is very important, especially when it comes to not only security, but also cloud, because those two, security and cloud, are especially cloud too, is huge when it comes to networking. Security, you do need to know networking too as well. Especially if you need to understand. I haven't taken the Security Plus yet, but that's going to be another cert that I really want to get. So I'm not going to speak too much on security, So yeah, security and cloud, very heavy on networking. Being able to understand the basics of networking, so like Network Plus, can really help you down the line. I know some people will get the A+ and then skip the Network Plus and then just get the Security Plus. Yeah, but having that Network Plus really helps down the line, especially if you're trying to get into Cisco. So if you're trying to get the CCNA, what I've noticed, I haven't delved too deep into the book, the Odom book, but in the CCNA, a lot of stuff that's mentioned in there, Network Plus has mentioned too as well. A lot of the fundamentals are in that CCNA. So if you do get your Network Plus, you can jump right into the CCNA and won't be too lost. It's just more Cisco based. So
yeah, I know. Antoine helped you in one of the scenarios, right? You told me about, like,
yes,
in
he did.
your job.
Yeah,
shout out to Antoine if he's watching. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
His name
Antoine,
is David. Yeah. David is King. He got a job for Cisco, actually.
Yeah.
So shout out to Antoine. I'm so happy for him.
Yeah, man.
I think he helped you, right? I think you told me what was the issue?
Yeah. So he helped me. There was a time we had an outage, a network outage, and it was down for like 2 days. So a lot of the teachers and students didn't come in for those 2 days. And it was a gateway issue. The gateway was acting up. He helped me out. We went on Zoom. And that's another thing. Always, when you make those connections with people, don't be scared to contact them or hit them up. So went ahead and he helped me out. Went ahead and he had got into my system. He started pinging different parts of the network, and they always kept coming back to the gateway issue was something wrong with the gateway. So when we hit, he told me, "Oh no, it's fine." He was very calm. So I was like, I was nervous. I was like, "Oh man, the school's been closed for 2 days. Like I can't, I can't go on again." So, luckily, another part of my job is to also contact the principal if we need any important networking or tech equipment. What I do is I go ahead and get what we need, get a quote from CDWG, which is the company, that we get our IT equipment from. And then the representative will send me the quote, and I'll get the quote and then send it to the principal. And then she'll go ahead and make the orders. Now, she's trying to make it so I can do it myself. I don't have to go back to the principal for everything. So went ahead and ordered a new gateway. And that fixed the issue. Sometimes it's just the equipment too, Remember, I'm starting there that was with equipment from like years ago. So it was bound to happen. So so yeah, Antoine was a huge help, man, when it came to that. I was always that nervous person I was always the person nervous to just contact and reach out to people. But when you get into IT, like reaching out to people really does help. So yeah,
it's a community, man. It's a community. Yeah. Antoine is I know he's hopefully gonna watch this later on, but he got a job for Cisco. I'm so happy for him.
Yeah, man.
He's a Cisco engineer.
That's cool.
I was gonna say, it's very important to keep your connections no matter what industry you're in, and because IT is so big, it's like so many different fields you get into. But it's good to stay connected with your manager, your directors, and everything, because you never know what might happen. You might as well, And the other thing I was gonna say, and don't be afraid to reach out to people. People are scared, like reach out, ask.
Don't be scared. And I was one of those guys that be scared, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start reaching out to you, just like how I took the position at the school. I'd say yes. I didn't think twice, because when you start thinking for too long, you start to double think, and you be like, man, should I take this? Now, it was a time I did ask myself, like, man, should I really take this? Like, everything in there don't work. But when I think about it, it's like a lot of stuff didn't work, but now it does, and that gave me experience, all that experience.
And I was going to ask you about that. Did you have imposter syndrome when you got the job?
Yeah. When I got in there, I felt like I didn't know anything. It felt like even though I did all the labs and everything, when I got in there, it felt like, man, like, how I'm going to do this stuff. Like, I had to really sit down and figure out exactly how I'm going to do it. Now, it wasn't less imposter syndrome, but more just nervous, I guess you could say. Like I didn't feel that much imposter syndrome because there weren't really anyone in IT that was there. I was pretty much by myself in IT. It was just the teachers was there. So I felt kind of I didn't have that much overhead over me as far as the IT stuff went. But me, the person I am, I try to like work as hard as I can, and to show them that I can do this stuff. Because when I did the interview and I was asking them, I was showing them all my my resume work, and I was telling them I'm able to be like, I've been studying and been labbing and creating labs and all that. So then when I got into it, luckily the principal wasn't too harsh on it. She said, look, we start from the bottom. Like, if you can get some of this stuff to work, well, that's great. And that kind of made me more comfortable. And then also having my other mentor, my professor there at times, that made me more comfortable. Now he knew a lot of stuff, man, like stuff that he's more of a security guy himself too. So he knows a lot of, like, he teaches network security too as well. I wasn't that up to par with security. So like there were times where I would set something up and like he would be heavy on security. He'd go ahead and scan for ports. Sometimes he was like one of those tricky dudes. Like, man, you gotta be careful with him. but yeah, man, like it was really nerve-wracking at the time, because I was thinking like, man, if I took the web developer position, everything would be already working, everything would be there, But then I had to think like,
but you had the mentor though. You had the mentor though, like to help you, like to like hold you a little bit, because otherwise you'll be stressed out, right?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, because you got to remember, I'm there with no documentation. There's no documentation. There's no passwords for well, there are passwords that my professor had put together, and that helped. But there were some devices that were the passwords for it that wasn't on the sheet. So I had to somehow figure out how to get to it. For example, there was a SSH password for the gateway, the Sonic wall at the time. There was no documentation for it. So when I was cleaning the AV room, I found a little blue slip that had the SSH password on it. I was like, see, stuff like this needs to be documented on a sheet and centralized somewhere. Like, stuff just can't be laying around. That's what happened. Stuff was just laid around all over the place. So right now, the phase that I'm in is trying to get everything centralized and documented so that you can just go to one area and find everything you need instead of having to clean the entire room and go back and forth. But yeah.
What are your and do you use automation in your job? I was gonna ask you that. I was like, the other thing I was gonna ask. Do you use like PowerShell, or do you use Python?
So I actually want to start using PowerShell more. I was studying it prior to my job, starting there, and it was a while back when you were doing the Windows Server thing,
the Exchange, and I made that post.
Yeah, the Exchange thing. I did that in PowerShell. But I want to start going back on it with the job, because at this position I'm in, I could do a lot of different things. I can experiment with a lot of different stuff. It's just that I had to get equipment and the network there optimized to work well, so that it takes a lot of load off of me. Now I'm getting less, I guess you call it help tickets or emails, because now everything is starting to work more now. So I'm trying to bring in IP phones now. I have a meeting with the company Monday, so that'd be fun.
Are you doing Mitel, Cisco, Avaya? What are you doing? Just don't mind me asking.
Oh, as far as it's the IP phones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's the company is Log Me In.
Oh, Log Me In. Okay.
Yeah, Log Me In. Yeah, so I'm gonna the reason I chose them because they do have a history with schools a lot. So I had meetings with them. I had a meeting with the representative a couple of weeks back. And then, we scheduled meetings, and then now we finally got the principal to come in so that we can do a live demo of it. So that'll be fun. And then once that comes in, the network is moving better than it was.
Mm-hmm.
So now we can put IP phones in now. So the phones now we have is plain old, the POTS system, which is, and the funny thing about this situation, they kept having the phones restart every single time.
Mm-hmm.
And the front desk, the two front desk ladies, they kept coming to me saying, our phones keep restarting and we can't take any calls. Now, I'm the only IT guy there. I I didn't know if I was responsible for the phones or not, the bots phone. But I say, you know what, let me go ahead and figure it out, because no one else, no one else is gonna, no one else really knows. So I had to figure out how to, how to reset the times on the phones and all that. I went on YouTube to figure all that out. But it's the funny thing with the phones, when they kept restarting, I always would smell popcorn in the building, in the hallway. So what came to mind was someone's using a microwave. I went ahead and called Datatel, which was the company with the phones now. And the guy that put those phones in, the last time he's been at that school was like 15 or 20 years ago. So he says, man, I've been in that school in 15 years. So what he told me where the PBX box was located. So I went, it's in the maintenance room. I had to go all the way downstairs, and then I could smell the popcorn more. So when I went there, I saw the microwave was running and the maintenance guy was there. And then he told me, it's in that room. The Datatel guy told me it's in that room and it's on a wall somewhere. So I went ahead and turned around, and I saw the phone box was in there, connected on that side of the wall to a surge protector. And what happened was, when that microwave ran, it blew that side of the wall out, that side of the room out. So when it did that, the phone kept restarting every time the microwave would go off and on. So that was a crazy funny issue, because it's like the phones kept restarting, and I'm trying to figure out what could be the issue. Why are the phones restarting? I thought maybe it would be AT&T, because that's the company we're using. I thought maybe it's something to do with the phones, but I was like, well, these phones are working in a centralized location somewhere. It was that box, and it was just power outage would just happen on that side of the room because the microwave would run. So it was pretty funny. I was laughing, and the guy on the phone was laughing too. He was like, it was funny because it was like, that was all the issue. I was like, I'm glad that was the issue, because that can easily be fixed. But we wouldn't have that issue with IP phones. We wouldn't need the POTS connection anymore. So, and plus, what would be cool is it's cloud-based, so it allows other people to work from home. So, like, if the main office, if one of them can't make it in the building, they can still take the job calls, on the application on their phone, and still do work. And I'm also implementing a VPN connection on it. So now they can, if something was happening, snowstorm or whatever, they can just do everything from home. They can access their computer from home, and they can take the job calls from home. So that's a good combination. So introduce some cloud phone systems in.
I was gonna ask you about your because you work for a school system, and from my understanding, this is I guess because I worked in a school system before. So are you using Google Workspace at all?
So I'm using I'm using a Google admin, the whole Google admin system. So they have like Google Classroom. But before I was there, the deans are mostly controlling the classroom system. So they all have they're the ones that make they do all the class stuff. So the students, the roster, and all of that. I'm the admin. So if there are new students that come in, I'm creating the emails for them. Well, I create the passwords for them. If they having trouble logging into their Google Classroom, I can go in, reset their password, and get them back. Also with the server, the Active Directory server, I make sure I get a list of the students that are, the new students that are coming in. I put them into the AD, and then I create them fresh accounts for logging into their, the computers in the labs. Before, they didn't have that system. They only had lab user. So every student would just log into lab user. Well, the issue with that, one, is security issue, because anyone could just log into it. They could just type lab user in. But what was a good idea of giving every student an Active Directory username and password, because if anything were to happen, or any students that are tech savvy tries to mess with the computers, their name is the last one to come up. So then I'll know. Oh, okay. But it makes everything so much easier and more manageable, giving them their own accounts. I have to even tell them, if it helps them, they can make it the same as their Google, their Google username and passwords.
And are you using Office 365 at all in that job? Because some people combine like Active Directory, Office 365 in the school system, and then some people don't even use Active Directory at all, and they have Google Workspace as the whole thing.
So we are not using Office 365. I've seen when I started there, the school is taking a Google route. So a lot of things is going to be Google based. So I figured, well, since this school is going Google based, we have like a bunch of Google Chromebooks now. All the students have all their storage and everything on Google. I figured, well, let me just continue this Google route. Make everything Google. They already use Google, the Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Slides for everything. That's where all their schoolwork on. And it makes it easier because before I cleaned the machines in the lab, there were student work on those machines. They were using Windows 7 at the time, and they were virus infested. So like, it was like, I have an image. It should be on my LinkedIn or my Instagram, but there's an image of I had took a picture of one of the computers in the labs, and it was like 2,000 viruses on the Trojan virus. I was like, oh my God. So what was weird about cloud storage is that a lot of that stuff will have to be stored on the computers and hog up their hard drive space. Because I noticed when I was going through the lab computers, a lot of their storage was being just clogged and used up from stuff from like 2014 that they just never touched or deleted. So it's more Google route. So we don't have any Office 365. In the past, they did use like Office programs. There's still some teachers that are still stuck on Office because they like certain features. But a lot of the staff and teachers are using Google pretty much for everything. So,
and I'm guessing you're since you're doing Google, you're probably enrolling the devices and stuff like that. And are you using smartboards?
Yes, we are, but we're actually going to. The math teachers are using smartboards, but we're actually going to start moving and using Google Jamboards. So we're going to give the math teachers Google Jamboards. Also, I installed TVs in the classrooms because what they can do is the students and the teachers can stream stuff to the TV and back. Now, there were stuff in the past where they were streaming like Dragon Ball Z to the TVs in the hallways. My professor was saying, so he had the TVs off. So I'm figuring out a way to make it so they can't do that. But I did show like a clip of the process of how it was done. They can use their Chromebooks, and what's cool is they can flip the Chromebooks backwards and use it as a tablet. So if they're doing like presentations or whatever, like they had a presentation like last week. Students who have presentations, they can show the presence, they can read the presentation on their laptop and then show it on the screen and then have everyone else see it on the screen. But also because they're sharing the screen on Zoom, the people at Zoom can see it. So, that Zoom workaround, that was also a tough thing to do because you got to worry about troubleshooting, that sometimes it was like sound errors. What I've noticed is just mute the TV because there were some issues where the TV would be on. And because they're on Zoom, the sound is coming out the TV, but then the Chromebook is taking it. And then it's going in a circle. The sound is just relaying back. And then you get like this super echo. So that was the only thing I had to troubleshoot as far as the Zoom and the TV situations. But smart boards are in the building. But I believe the teachers just didn't get a good grasp on how to use them. They were installed in there, but I guess the techs didn't really teach them well enough because when I saw that they're not really using the smart boards like how smart board should be used, like having the digital marker and writing down and stuff. I taught the math teacher how to do that, and she didn't even know, and it just made her teaching experience so much better. A lot of them just use it. They state one of them, the biology teacher told me she just used it as like a glorified projector. So it was like, well, I was just using the projector, but so when I get the Jamboards in, I'm going to actually teach them how to actually use it. And it'll be fun for me because I've never used a Jamboard before. So, that'll be some learning experience for me, and it'll be pretty fun. And it's always good to have new equipment in because those smart boards been in there for quite a while. So.
Well, Christopher, we've been on it for the meeting for almost an hour and a half almost.
Man. Oh man, that's so much.
Yeah, it's like so much to talk about. I could keep talking to you, but
yeah,
I want to take up your time too, because I know you're busy too. I know you have your own schedule and everything.
Yeah.
What is your before we get going, what is your last piece of advice for someone brand new to IT? What's your advice?
Talk to as many people in the community as possible. If you're going to school like I did at the time, go in there and be open with the professors in the IT department. You know, you can go into the school and get the degree, but you haven't talked to anyone, you haven't made connections, and it can make it harder for you in the future to try to get in. So the reason I was able to get into the position was because I talked. You know, I made a connection with someone who was in there. You know, I showed them the interest. So show interest in it, you know, talk and you know, just work in lab, man. Create a lab, document. Pretty much like all the stuff that I did that I'm doing now helped me, you know, to get to where I am. You know, I still want to go even more deeper into things like Docker and all that other stuff. So I document everything that I do. Now I know there might be some jobs that be like, we don't want you to document. You don't want to show you. We don't want you to show too many stuff. So what's great about this job is it's very free, which is another reason why I really chose it. It's very free. I can document pretty much everything in there, starting from scratch. You know, just being able. If you see an opportunity, go for it, man. If it's a good opportunity for you to learn, go for it. If it's a job, look at it, see what you can get out of that job. Money is one thing, because money, you know, it's cool. You need money. You need money, but also being able to, the more experience you get, you know, the better off you will be, and easier you'll be to move on up in the, you know, in the ladder, I guess you could say. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's, you know, just learn, man. Just learn. Just keep learning. Don't stop. Don't stop, man.
Got it, man. So I guess I'll let everyone go. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a great Saturday, and thank you, Christopher, for being here. And thank you everyone for watching.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for being here, man. I'm glad to be here, man.
Let me end the stream over here on YouTube. I hope you guys have a good day. I hope you guys have a good weekend. Like I said, thanks for watching, and stay safe, and maybe we'll do another one. Who knows?
Yeah, it's so much, man.
So much to cover. Let me close the stream right now. Hope you guys have a good day. Take